Hi there, welcome to lesson 2.3 of SMM 202, where we discuss lead generation via LinkedIn groups, LinkedIn advertising, and analytics. So here's a top tip: join groups that your target market joins. So this will give you a genuine opportunity to interact with individuals of those groups, and they will help you increase your visibility. And because of this, people will start to contact you. So before you can actually create a group for your firm or your brand, you want to start by joining groups that are similar to your target market's interests, to the industry that you operate in, to the field. So for example, if you'd like to create a digital marketing group in a certain region or in a certain country, let's just say Belgium, you want to create a digital marketing group for all the people that are in the industry in Belgium. You want to start by joining similar groups so you can interact with these individuals and increase your visibility. The other thing that you need to understand is the power of LinkedIn groups. So the power of such groups, they shouldn't be underestimated, because the purpose of LinkedIn groups is to allow those with similar interests to come together to discuss and share news on the topics that mutually interest them. However, what's also really interesting is that a lot of brands and businesses use LinkedIn groups for lead generation. Lead generation is basically when you want to generate new potential customers. And leads are basically those potential customers that you can convert into actual and current customers. So here's an example of a group. The Inbound Marketers Group for Marketing Professionals, created by HubSpot, is one of the most popular LinkedIn groups with a membership of almost 90,000. So you can imagine the benefits of having a community of such a target demographic that HubSpot can engage with in a variety of ways. So LinkedIn Groups presents a discussions board where it's possible to post a link to a web article of interest or simply engage in a conversation. Then through groups, you can also do a member search and directly send a message to someone in that group, provided that they are using the default setting that LinkedIn provides. So usually when you're on LinkedIn and you want to contact someone who's not in your network, so they're not even a third degree or a second degree connection, what you do is that you can join the group that that person is also in, and then you'll be able to directly message them or ask them or request them to be your connection. So that's what's really interesting about groups, is that they open your wider network. And let's say that you're only connected to 100 individuals, and then through that you're connected to maybe another 5,000 individuals. But if you'd like to get connected to, let's say, 50,000 from 10,000, start joining groups that are very similar to your current target demographic or the people that you'd like to currently engage with. So in other words, by attracting your target demographic to your group, you can now directly engage with them regardless of your connectivity status. So assume that you're a brand and you'd like to connect with certain new leads, new potential customers. This will obviously also work great for people that are business developers or sales managers. Let's say you'd like to connect with a certain demographic of people in your B2B business. So what you do is that you start by creating a group, and then you'll be able to connect with them directly through the group. Because of the fact that now that you're all part of the same group, you're going to be able to connect and message them. We talked a little bit about the fact that you need to join groups that are similar to your target market. That was step one. Step two, in order to create an effective group, you need to make sure that it's very targeted, that it interests your target demographic as well. This is really interesting. So Inbound Marketers, the group, what you can do is you can actually check group stats of any group on LinkedIn. So let's go onto LinkedIn and check out the statistics, the current statistics for Inbound Marketers. These were the statistics, I believe, a few months back. So they had 90,035 members. Let's see how many they have today. So I've just typed Inbound Marketers, and this is a group that's shown up. So let's click there so we can see how many members they have today. And there we go. So this is the Inbound Marketers group that we're discussing in our Prezi. And here you can see that there are several members continuously connecting, mentioning how they're performing their inbound marketing techniques. So they're talking about social media, digital marketing, email marketing, blogs. And if we like, we can just click on more and then click on group statistics. And there we go. Now we see that they have over 93,691 members. So that's over 90K people that Inbound Marketers, a group created by HubSpot, can engage directly with about their products, their services. And what's great is that people are interacting within their own space. So they're interacting within the HubSpot space. And if you notice, Inbound Marketers is by HubSpot.com. But what's the first thing you notice about the logo? Look carefully at the logo and tell me what you notice. Yes, that's correct. The HubSpot logo is not on the logo for the group. So you'll learn more about this as we talk about tips and top tips for LinkedIn groups. But isn't that really interesting? Like HubSpot has not specifically advertised their brand or even their logo in the group. And that's really because you don't want to over advertise your company. So it's more about creating a conversation within the space. And then if people click on, find out more about the group, or they want to find out more about some of the products or services that you offer, then you can mention that this is a group by HubSpot. So they've created a specific logo that's different from HubSpot. But what's great is that HubSpot can now email directly over 90,000 members. Because once a person enters your group, you're able to email them directly. You're able to email them directly through LinkedIn settings. So here, we're also able to see how many comments the group had last week. So 67, location, and the function. So we're seeing over 21% of the people that are part of the group are in marketing. Let's click on demographics, and we're able to get an even more in-depth view. So here we can see their seniority. Most of them are senior executives, so 20%. So that's over 18,000 people that are senior execs. Then we can also look at function. So there are several people from marketing, but there are also several entrepreneurs and consultants. And then we can look at location. So most of the people are from the greater New York City area. And then we're seeing some percentages here. So significant percentage from the US, but then we're also seeing some concentration of people from London. And then the industry as well. So this is interesting. I mean, when you decide whether or not you want to join a group, you can go in and look at their statistics. And also, if you want to create a similar group, you can look at their statistics and try and mirror the same kind of target market and the same kind of content that they're posting. Then you can also look at their overall growth, how much growth they've had since they started out, and their week over week growth rate, and then the overall activity. So we're seeing activity is it's really going down because the discussions last week were just only 20, but maybe that's their overall aim or target. So maybe that's what they're aiming for. But again, very interesting to see how different companies are using groups to interact with their members. I recommend go into groups and see how some brands and companies are creating several different types of groups for several of their target users and demographics, and what kind of content they're posting in their group. So just a few months back, they were at 90,000 users, and now they have 93,000 members. Now, this is some great advice from HubSpot.com. So before you think about creating a LinkedIn group, you first need to create a mission statement that states who you'd like to attract and what your group will offer them. So creating a LinkedIn group is very simple, as it is indicated by the sheer number of groups that exist. But that being said, there's one very important thing to consider that will make or break your group. Its name. Think about why that's important. Why do you think the name is one of the most significant aspects of LinkedIn groups? The reason being so is because a person or a LinkedIn member will search by your name in the search functionality. They won't search by any other aspect. So if your group corresponds with the search query, then there is a higher chance of you being a suggested group on LinkedIn. So as soon as somebody starts typing marketing, what are the first groups that show up? What if someone types digital marketing? So that's what you want to see. You want to see which are the first groups that show up. And that's where you should aim to be when you create your LinkedIn group. Think of some relevant keywords. While using a social networking site, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's Facebook or Twitter, no user wants to be directly sold to. So remember, we're not trying to be aggressive sellers or people that are aggressively advertising our products. So therefore, in the spirit of inbound marketing, this is really interesting. The name of your group should not be your company name. So on Facebook or Twitter, you usually have a page or username that represents your company. On LinkedIn, however, it's completely different. You want to win the mind share of your target audience and attract them to become members of your group. And how do you do so? You do it by naming your group appropriately. So let's say that I am targeting construction professionals in the greater New York City area, as an example. And I'm looking at Brooklyn, construction professionals in Brooklyn. What would I do? I would create a group that is reflective of my target. So I would probably call my group Construction Professionals in Brooklyn. I know it sounds very derivative and very simple, but the thing is, the simplest of things work on LinkedIn. This is what I've seen. I mean, some of the top HR groups in the Middle East, they're called HR Professionals in the Middle East. I mean, they're actually operated and run by recruitment agencies or by B2B firms. You want to make sure that you use very simple keywords in your group name and do not use your company name. So let's say you've decided that you want to create a LinkedIn group. How do you go about doing so? If you hover over interests, you'll be able to see companies and groups. So click on groups. And then once you do so, you can see all of the groups that you're a part of, but you can also create a group. As soon as you click on create a group, you're able to upload your logo. Let's say that your company has 2 or 3 names. So let's say it's called John Smith. So your company initials are JS. What you can do is then you can take those initials, so JS, and create a logo based on those initials. And then what you can do is you can create the group name and make it look similar to your actual logo. That's what HubSpot did. So if we go back and look at HubSpot's logo, so this is the logo that they've selected, Inbound Marketers. They've created it specifically for this group. So if we go into Google Images and we search for HubSpot's logo, we can see that, okay, orange and black, and they have this round element here in their logo type. And we can see that it's very similar, orange and black. Or orange and dark gray, perhaps. So again, you want to keep your new logo for your group similar to your company logo, but again, you don't want to place your company name in that logo. All right, so we were creating our group. Here, again, you can mention your group name. Don't mention your company name in your group name. And then within your group type, you can select a specific group, create a summary. So remember, you want to use certain keywords in your summary, create a description as well. And then you can have your group owner email, access, language, and just certain other elements. When you're trying to decide how you're going to control access to your group, don't make it auto join. I mean, you still want to approve the people that are coming in. So what you can do is you can make it request to join. So users must request to join the group. And then if you believe that that user is applicable to your target market or the people that you're trying to target with your LinkedIn group, you can then accept them into the group. Here are some key things to remember when you're creating your LinkedIn group. So groups allow for direct engagement with target market. So just as an example, every new update or question posted on the board is sent via an email to all members. But again, this depends upon their update settings. So some people may select once a month updates, once a week, once a year, whatever that might be. But what's also interesting is they go viral very quickly, LinkedIn groups. So I'll give you an example. We created this Bradbury recruitment group just about 1.5 years ago. It's been a while and it's not active. We're actually revamping our LinkedIn group strategy and also our LinkedIn company page. So it's not an active group and we're probably going to shut it down soon. But what's interesting is that even though it's not active, it's got over 400 members. And we don't post updates there. It's just that people are continuously interacting with each other, which is quite interesting. And I mean, again, we made a mistake where we put Bradbury, the name, into the group. But you know, this was back when we first started out. So you want to make sure you don't have your company name. And second, just remember that groups go viral very quickly on LinkedIn. So just make sure that you've got your strategy in place beforehand, because you don't want to get that sudden influx of users, and you don't really know how to handle the users and what your content strategy is going to be in terms of what you're going to post in the groups. So you want to make sure you've got that covered beforehand. Also, groups on LinkedIn allow for much more interaction than Facebook groups. They allow admins to contact members directly, and they also allow member-to-member interaction as well. So what you want to do is when you're continuously monitoring the interaction on your group, you want to see that people are also posting their own articles, their own questions. It will take some time to get there because you need to first amass a good number of members. So you start off by posting content yourself, but also it looks very repetitive if it's the same person posting this, posting content continuously, because you can see the person's name and their profile picture. What I recommend for this, have different people in the company post updates and post content. So sometimes it can be posted from your account, maybe from another, and then sometimes it can be posted from another person's account in your team. So make sure it's different people posting content. So and that way you'll have different heads. So we're back in Inbound Marketers for Marketing Professionals group. And here we can see that there's different heads posting content. So it's not the same person continuously posting content. It's different people. And that's what you want to do with your firm as well. You don't want, for example, Larry continuously posting content and then it's just his head all over, because then you'll just think as a user, as a new member, that it's just one person in the group. So you want to make sure that you've got different people posting discussions. So just ask people in your company to continuously post that content and have different people posting maybe every other day, every 3 days, however that might be. It's not as often as, for example, Twitter, where you'd be posting content all the time. As your group grows, you're probably going to be posting content more often. Other people will be posting content as well. So it will be user-generated content because your members will be posting it. So you probably have to start off by having employees in your company posting it, but then later you can start having people that are within your group posting the content. Okay, so let's now move into number 4. So LinkedIn groups are also an excellent method of marketing your products or services because groups bring your target market together in one place and they allow for interaction between members. So in one of your status updates, you can probably post how you've announced this new product or this new service. But again, don't be too pushy. Don't advertise. So just post maybe one status update on your company's product or service, maybe once every week, once every 2 weeks. So you don't want to do it too often. Also, you can use the LinkedIn announcement feature to send an email announcement to all members. So you cannot use this for LinkedIn company page followers, but you can use it for LinkedIn group members. So that really shows you the power of LinkedIn groups, that you can directly connect with the members via email and send them new announcements on your products or on your services directly. And here are some more key things to remember. So also, when you've started your LinkedIn group, promote it on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and other social media channels. So don't keep it isolated from your other networks. Have a holistic strategy. Then also keep LinkedIn policies in mind. So don't annoy your members by posting spammy links. So links that contain spam or even constant product endorsements. Also keep your group relevant through active management of your group and keep irrelevant information out. So what will probably happen is as your group grows and you start getting many more members, you'll probably need one specific person to handle LinkedIn groups and of course your overall social media strategy as well. So what I would recommend is you need to make sure that if people are posting irrelevant content, then it might be time to kick them out. If they continuously keep on doing so. It's part of LinkedIn policies that when you join a group, you post content that is relevant to the target market and to the group's policies. So if you continuously get a person who keeps posting completely irrelevant content or keeps saying, or just keeps advertising their products and services, you have the right to kick them out. So you can start off by deleting or marking it as spam or even messaging them and telling them, okay, 3 strikes and you're out. Also, it's up to you whether you would like an open group anyone can join or a closed group which requires admin approval. So closed groups are good if you would like certain key professionals in specific industries to join, as I mentioned earlier. Also, proactively start discussions and foster group engagement. So what you want to do is maybe post an interesting article and ask people for their opinion as to what they think about the article or maybe how they've implemented certain strategies in their business. So start by talking to people, start discussions. Because what that does is that it gets people talking, and then as they talk and engage with your group, other people from their network, when they access the LinkedIn newsfeed, will be able to see that, this person's actively engaging in this group. Maybe I should join this group too. Also, you can take discussions from other similar groups and repost them into yours. So let's say you're following another digital marketing group in the US and you're starting one in your region. You can copy and paste some of the content that they're posting over there into your region as well. Or maybe you want to post more localized content. It's up to you. But if you want to start off by piggybacking off of another strategy, you can do so by just posting that similar content. Also, you can post blogs from your company, and it's a good idea to do so because that also starts conversations and discussions. And again, they're led to your company page, so they look at the blog and they go, this is interesting. Maybe I'll also look at the rest of their company's website. So again, it brings in traffic to your site. Also, check your engagement volume periodically over time. So I showed you some of the statistics that are available within groups. You can check how many new comments you've had per week, new discussions, and see that they should be going up over time. I mean, you might see a dip in some cases over off periods, but it's good to see that overall it should be remaining either constant or growing. LinkedIn advertising. So LinkedIn also provides advertising packages for businesses or brands that are looking to specifically target certain groups. So let's go into LinkedIn advertising and learn about the dashboard and how we can create ad variations. Firstly, you want to go into linkedin.com/ads. Once you're in, just click on Get Started. And then you'll really be able to target with a lot of precision as to where you want your advertisements to be shown and to whom. So you first start off by selecting an ad campaign name. This is just basically for you to recognize later. You can call it ad 1, ad 2, whatever you like. Then you select your ad language type, and then you have your media type. So LinkedIn also provides video advertising. And if you select video, you'll be able to use them to educate, entertain, and compel your audience to learn more. I'm sure you've seen several samples of videos being used on LinkedIn advertising whenever you've signed in. But what's great is that you can create ad variations to test and see which ads are working. So as you know from our Facebook advertising lesson, we learned that you should create at least 3 variations. Maybe you can use different headlines for each of those ads, images, videos, whatever it might be. You can use different text as well because you want to experiment and see which ads perform better over time. So here you can select your ad destination. So you can have your web page. Just click there to edit the web page, and then you can also enter a headline. Now remember one thing, LinkedIn is very strict about their headlines. So you usually have to use up to 75 characters to span 2 lines, and you usually, if your headline is very vague, they won't accept your ad. And LinkedIn takes a little bit longer than Facebook to accept and approve adverts. And once they've approved the advert, only then can it go live. So once you've selected your headline, you can then add another variation of the same ad. And once you do so, you can then have it at the same web page, but then you can probably change either the headline or the description if you like. So what's great is that it also shows a preview right here. So you're able to see what your ad might look like. And you can see some of the different tips that LinkedIn also has. So you can try different images, headlines to see what resonates best. You can make your headline into a question just to draw more attention. And of course, it's always important to make your ad destination relevant and have the same theme as your ad copy. So once you've created your ad campaign and completed step 1, you'll be led to targeting. So you can target your campaign to reach the right audience. This is one of the most powerful features of LinkedIn because you're able to specify location, company, job title, which school they went to, skills, groups that they might be in, gender, age. I mean, it's very, very specific targeting. So let's start by assuming that our location is, we're targeting people in the Middle East, in Europe. And what we can also do is we can specifically target countries within Middle East and then within Europe as well. However, we can also select all of Europe and all of Middle East. So let's assume we've decided to do that. We can also select companies by name. So we can enter a specific name to target that employees of that specific company, or we can select categories of companies. So we may decide we want to have a medium company size, so 11 to 50 employees, and we want it to be in e-learning. Then we can also select a job title. So in job title or in job, I would recommend going by job function, because then you're able to mention their seniority, like are they a director, entry-level, manager, owner, partner, and then you can also specify their function. With job title, you can go very specific, for example, financial analyst, junior accountant, So it's really up to you to decide whether you'd like to go by job title or job function. And then within school, you can enter specific schools, skills, groups, gender. You can target by gender and then age. So what's really great is that you're able to see how many potential LinkedIn members you'll be targeting with your advert. It's always a good idea to have a sizable target audience and a sizable population. Here we're seeing a low number because of the fact that we've specifically targeted an industry which is still in its infancy stage in the Europe and Middle East. Perhaps we can go with something more generic. Perhaps we can go with something more popular. So let's select finance. So banking, insurance, investment management. And there we go. We're seeing about over 16,000 LinkedIn members in finance alone that are of a company size of 11 to 50 employees and that are located in the Europe and Middle East. Again, you still want this number to be higher, so maybe you can start selecting a higher company size. So now we have 1.3 million LinkedIn members that we're targeting. All right, so now let's click on next. So now you're in step 3, campaign options. And here what you can do is you can select your pay per click. If you'll notice, the CPC on LinkedIn is a lot higher than Facebook. So on Facebook, the average CPC is about 80 cents. And the maximum will probably go up to is about $1.2. LinkedIn, it's twice as much. So the suggested bid range here is $2.01 US to 2.43. LinkedIn charges a premium for their CPC because of their audience. Since you're targeting working professionals, they have a much higher CPC than on Facebook. And of course, even in comparison to Google as well. Also, what's really interesting about LinkedIn is that you can actually collect people's contact details if they click on your advert, and it collects them automatically. So you can use them as leads for your business. All you need to do is tick this option. So turn clicks into qualified leads with just one click by giving your audience a single button to ask to be contacted. So turn on lead collection for this campaign. Always turn this on. It's always a good idea to do so. And here you can also target your daily budget. So let's assume we decide to go with 2.01, and then we can either go with pay per 1,000 impressions, not recommended. Always go with CPC. CPC is always the recommended option. And then you can show your campaign continuously or until a specific date. So once you've clicked next, you're done with your 3 steps, and then you'll be led to your ad campaigns dashboard. So what will happen is that your campaign will be in this section and it will not be approved. So it'll take about a day or 2 days to be approved. And once it's approved, you can then turn on the campaign and have it be activated. So these are some of the campaigns that we did previously. We did a few campaigns in 2012. So if we click there, we're able to see, firstly, our overall demographics, the people that we were charging before, then how the campaign performed in the last 30 days. There's nothing here because it wasn't live in the last 30 days. And we were running 3 ad variations of the same ad. So in some cases, your ad might not be approved. I believe ours wasn't approved because of the fact that we had a comma at the end of the sentence. But if you look here, you're able to edit your currently active or deactivated adverts. You can edit them in terms of what the text might say, or you can edit them in terms of what you'd like the text to say, the headline, description. You can edit them in terms of what web page the advert will lead you to. So you can edit several different things about your ads even after they go live. And you can also decide to have your ad be square, tall, or long. So these are the different ad variations available. So moving back into the dashboard, you can also look at an overall summary of who has clicked on your ads if you click there. Again, we don't have enough information from the last 6 months because we weren't running our ad at that point of time. But what's great is that you can see an at-a-glance overview, so total number of clicks your ads received, impressions, the click-through rate, and the average CPC, along with the total amount that's been spent. Of course, it's not as detailed as Facebook. However, we can expect to see more detail in the future on LinkedIn adverts. All right, so that was the LinkedIn advertising dashboard. Let's now move into LinkedIn page insights. So if you log back into LinkedIn and hover over interests, just click on companies. Once you click on companies, you'll be led to the default landing page for your company's status updates. Then if you'd like to view LinkedIn Analytics, just click on See Company Page. And then when you're on your page, just click on Page Insights. And there you have it. You'll be able to view your page's insights. So we have over 400 followers. We're seeing negative mostly in the unique visitors, page views. I mean, then again, we don't post as much content on our LinkedIn page and we're revamping our strategy. But over time, you should see your page views going up and then your page visitor demographics as well. You might see that one or two or any of your other social media networks might be used more often. I mean, our users are mostly on our Twitter and Facebook pages because of our target demographic. However, you shouldn't be seeing such a huge drop in terms of page views and page visitor demographics. It's always good to see it go either constant or going upwards. We've also got our unique visitors here, and then the products and services page in terms of total number of clicks. Our target demographic is not really on LinkedIn. They're mostly on Facebook and Twitter. So that's why we're seeing our page views and overall page visitor demographics, unique visitors. Because in a lot of ways, we're more of a B2C firm rather than B2B. So if you're a B2B firm, then you should be using LinkedIn as one of your primary lead generation tools. And also, you should be seeing these statistics going upwards. So we can also see our page visitor demographics in terms of their seniority, industry, function, region, company size, and employees. So that was page insights. Now let's look at view follower insights. So all you need to do is hover over tools, and then you can either click on view follower insights or view page insights. So this is interesting. We're seeing a 78.1% increase in the total number of impressions in the last 7 days. So that's quite interesting. And we're seeing here company update impressions, company update engagement, follower demographics, new followers over time. So we've had 34 followers in July. Again, we don't use LinkedIn as often for our target demographic, but we're still seeing an increase in the number of members that are following us. However, we're not seeing as much engagement. What's great though is that you can look at some of your recent followers and see who they are. And then if you click on See More, you'll be led to all of the people that are currently following you. And then you can see who are the people that are interested in your firm. Also, if you decide to add jobs to your company page, just click on Add Jobs, and you'll be directly led to the LinkedIn Talent Solutions page. And what this allows you to do is you can promote some of your jobs and opportunities within the LinkedIn talent management platform, and you can also have them promoted via your company page. So here's also something really interesting about the company profile pages on LinkedIn. Now, this is a new feature that was in fact launched in July 2013. So hot on the heels of Facebook's sponsored updates, LinkedIn now allows company users and community managers to sponsor their updates so that they reach a wider audience. So for example, here we can see all of the updates that Gradberry has sent out. So now underneath each update, we can now see the overall amount of organic engagement that the update received. So we'll get to see the impressions, so the number of times each update was seen by LinkedIn members, clicks, so the number of clicks on our content, the company name or the company logo, interactions, so the number of times people have liked, commented on, or shared this update, and of course the overall engagement. So the total number of interactions, clicks, and followers acquired divided by the number of impressions. And here you'll probably see that overall number of clicks, interactions will probably be maybe 1 to 5. They won't be very high because we have around 400 or 450 or so followers on LinkedIn. And usually you'll see that the amount of people that are following you on LinkedIn will be considerably lower than your Facebook and Twitter followers. So what happens if I click on Sponsor Update? So the first thing that I can do is I can raise brand awareness, build relationships, and drive quality leads with sponsored updates. So let's get started. So as soon as I clicked on Get Started, now I can directly create an ad campaign based on our existing update. So think of this as sponsored posts on Facebook. And we learned about those in our previous course. Now, what we can do is we can create an ad, sponsor an update, or explore other options. So let's first select what we'd like to do, and then we'll be able to click on Next. So we decided we want to sponsor an update. Let's, for example, decide to sponsor one of our job postings. Create a name for this campaign. So sponsored job posting. Again, remember that the campaign name will only be available on your dashboard. It's not something that will be seen by users. And this is a preview of what the advert would look like on LinkedIn. On a desktop, on mobile, and on a tablet. Then we can click on Next. So we can target an audience of 200 million on LinkedIn. We can specify location, then decide on maybe we'd like to target by company, by specific job title, have further targeting options such as school, skills, group, gender, age. So again, as you can see, the campaign, it's very similar to the targeting options that we had earlier in the LinkedIn Campaign Manager when we were producing our earlier adverts. So everything else about the campaign is quite similar to what we've already learned about. Then once we click on Next, we'll be led to campaign options where we can further define certain targets for the campaign and also decide our overall CPC or CPM. And that's really it for sponsored updates on LinkedIn. For further reading, I really recommend that you go ahead and read some of these articles because they're great recommended, because they give you some more strategies on LinkedIn lead generation, how you can use LinkedIn to build business ideas, and just overall traffic hacks for LinkedIn as well. So do click on these links to view some of these interesting articles. And that brings us to an end of lesson 2, where we learned all about LinkedIn. Next up in lesson 3, we learned how you can use online video for marketing with YouTube. See you in lesson 3.